The living room is literally one of the most important spaces in any home. This is a space we gather as a family, watch TV and get some entertainment. It's also the first place we welcome most of our guests. So it definitely has to look amazing. So while styling this space, we might be making a few mistakes without even realizing it. And that's what I'm here to do today. We're going to learn those mistakes and definitely how to fix them. Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you're new here, my name is Faazati Ali and I'm an interior designer who's always giving the best tips on how to make your space look stunning. So in today's video, we're going to go over some mistakes we make when styling the living room area. So I hope you will take your time to also subscribe to my channel for more and more tips and tricks on interior design. Plus, you'll make me a happy content creator, so why not get to it? Anyway guys, let's get straight into today's video. Now the first mistake that I'll be delving into when it comes to styling the living room area is going for a really small coffee table. Now this is a mistake that is quite common. A lot of times you find that people, they just bring in a small coffee table, place it in the middle of the room, and it sort of just acts as that midpoint, which is okay, but you need something that's at least sizable because you also have to think about scale and balance when it comes to interior design. So make sure when you're picking a coffee table, the proportion of it also works with the rest of the items, such as your armchairs and your sofa that are already in the space. We do realize that a lot of times when you have guests sitting in the living room and you probably offer them a drink or something, they're going to want to place that drink somewhere. So ensure that you're stacking up on a sizable coffee table, and you're also ensuring that you add side tables into the space so that if somebody's a little bit farther, then they do still have a space where they can rest their drinks, snacks, and so on. A great simple tip you can use if you already have a small coffee table is to just double up. Just get another piece that resembles it and you're good to go. This is of course a lot easier when it comes to square or rectangular tables. It works amazingly. So go ahead and do that if you already have an existing small coffee table. When it comes to a circular coffee table, the best way to double up is to play around with the sizes or the heights. So go ahead and bring in another circular coffee table. Make sure it has more length or it's slightly smaller so that you're having variation in size here. This actually looks pretty good. So let's avoid having those tiny little tables in our living areas. They're not creating much of an impact. Neither are they being functional. So yeah, let's have larger coffee tables or double up on what we already have and we're good to go. Another mistake you want to avoid when styling this space is over-accessorizing. Now I know you might easily get carried away and just have way too many deco pieces in this space, and at this point you're not even making it look aesthetic, it's starting to look more like a cluttered area. Just pick a few, centerpieces and those that look really good, that work with this space, that are easily cohesive with the rest of the items in the room, and that is more than enough. Sometimes when we overclutter, at the end of the day, it just looks disorganized and does not give a clean look anymore. Now we easily end up over-accessorizing by just buying different deco pieces every now and again. You might be passing by a shop, you see a nice vase, pick it up. You see a nice flower, you pick it up. You see something else, a nice tray, and all of a sudden you're having a little too many deco pieces in this space. Now you want to make sure you're intentional every time you're picking up something for the space. Something else you want to avoid is, I know a lot of times we want to showcase the different souvenirs we picked up, maybe traveling around the world and so on. You gotta take it down a notch. You can't really put up everything. It becomes a little bit too much for the space and does not look good anymore. Another thing I would definitely want to talk about is also hanging too many frames in the living room. I've talked about this in a different video, but I will repeat it again. I know you love your families, you want to put up your memories on the wall here and there. It's okay. You love your family, but let's just cut it down. Just pick some of your most favorite memories and put them up in a more organized way. Sometimes having just a lot of them jumbled up on the wall completely dims the look of that space. It does not look appealing anymore. It's a little bit more of a disaster or a disorganized wall. Now, the only exception for this particular advice would be somebody who is working with bohemian style. I mean, over here it's all about maximalism, so you can throw in all the deco pieces you want to, but for the rest of us, please, let's keep it minimal. Simplicity is always better. Now, another piece of advice that I feel a lot of us ignore is when it comes to lighting. Lighting is very important when it comes to interior design. Now, you don't only want to have general lighting in the living room area, you want to amp up the look of the space by actually having accent light, task lights, and so on. Use different lighting to change up the mood of the space. Sometimes you don't really want that bright light in your face, you just want a little bit of light, and you can always use your floor lamps to do this, your table lamps to do this, and so on. Other times you just need accent lighting so that you're actually lighting up focal areas in the space, such as artworks or some sort of feature wall, and so on. So play around with your light when it comes to the living room area. Have some cove lights in the ceiling, get your recessed lights for your general lighting. Ensure to bring in a nice chandelier or pendant light. Have some accent light where you can have wall sconces on the wall lighting up your different pieces, your artworks, and so on. This will come together and make the space look a lot more lively. After a long time in a space, sometimes you may want to actually redecorate or repaint to also just give it a new look and so on. And a mistake we make is going for a paint color without getting a sample first. Now, you might come across a beautiful color palette or a color tone in a magazine or while watching TV, and you might think, oh, this looks amazing, I would like to try this in my home. So you'll go get a paint and just come and paint all your walls, and then you realize, this does not look exactly like what I thought it would. Now, this is because paint will look different under different circumstances, different amount of lightings, and so on. So you want to ensure that before you paint all your walls, you're going ahead and getting a small sample done so that you see how it looks in your space, how it looks at night under artificial lighting, how it looks during the day under natural lighting. This will actually help you figure out if this is still the shade you want to go for. So this would be a very costly mistake that you definitely want to avoid. Always ensure that you paint a sample before painting all your walls. One thing we definitely want to avoid when it comes to furniture pieces in the living room area is being way too matchy-matchy. Sometimes when you walk into a furniture store, you always come across items that have already been put together. You find a sofa with two accent chairs that pretty much look the same as the sofa, a coffee table, side table, a console, and you might think, easy peasy, this is the easiest way to go, everything is already put together, why not? Well, easy peasy might not actually be looking that great because it's a very bland look. Nothing is different. There's no playing around with colors, the texture, material. It's literally the same look across the board. Not a great look. So what you want to do is pick your furniture pieces selectively, have a nice, beautiful, maybe sectional sofa or a 3-seater, a love seat, and so on. Then go ahead and match this up with different accent chairs. They do not have to match the sofa at all. This is something we used to do back in the day. I think our parents used to do it. It's okay, but times have changed, and it looks way better when you actually just go for different accent chairs in your living area. Match it with a nice coffee table with a unique, nice material that will also tie up with the rest of the pieces. This will look a whole lot better. So keeping in mind your interior design style, decide on your mood board. Create something, figure out what piece will work with what, and then bring them all together and ensure that you are creating a cohesive look. Another mistake that we definitely want to avoid is hanging the TV way too high. Now, this is something that I think a lot of times happens just because of lack of maybe knowledge, but you want to always have your TV unit at eye level so that you're not straining when you're watching your favorite shows. Now, this might be a little tricky when you're putting your TV above a fireplace and so on, but as long as you're not working with such a structure, then go ahead and ensure that you're having your TV at a level that is comfortable for everybody to actually watch. Another very important aspect of our living room areas is our carpets, and sometimes the mistake we make is going for one that is way too small. Try to ensure when you're picking a carpet for your space, when you lay it down in the living room area, all your furniture pieces are at least going to have the front legs sitting on it. If you have all your furniture pieces spread out and the carpet is laying in the middle on its own, floating by itself, then that's definitely where you're going wrong, because that is not the right carpet size for that space. It doesn't give a great look, so make sure you're avoiding this by actually measuring the size of your space before going out there and picking a carpet. Too small a rug looks like an island of its own in the middle of the room and does not look appealing, so it literally does nothing for the room. So you definitely want to avoid this and go for an appropriate size of rug for the living room. Now, unless you have a small space, please avoid pushing all your furniture pieces against the wall. Now, this just ends up leaving a lot of space in the middle of the room that actually makes it look a lot awkward. Now, as we all know, the living room is pretty much a conversational area. This is the area we come together, have good times, have conversations and so on. So you want to make sure your seats are close enough together so that this is actually functional. It will actually allow you to also create clear flowing traffic spaces because you'll be able to easily move around all your furniture pieces. Now, after you do this, one tip you have to remember is you cannot leave the back of your sofas just looking bare. It doesn't really give a good look. So you want to make sure after you've moved your sofa in front and you have the back of your seats exposed, try to use different elements to cover this area. You can always go ahead and have a throw that looks amazing. You can go ahead and bring in a console table and have table lamps on it and different accessories. You can have a nice shelving, maybe some baskets. This will make that back of the sofa look a whole lot better. So guys, please, if you have a large living room, kindly avoid pushing all your furniture pieces against the wall. Now, the last tip I'll be sharing today on mistakes to avoid when styling our living room areas is keeping items that we do not like. Now, this mostly happens when you ended up buying an item and it probably didn't fit the space or did not look like what you thought it would look like in the space. And sometimes it's just that you bought an item or you had it custom made and it didn't exactly turn out like what you envisioned and you still end up keeping it in the space. Why? Because you spent money on it. I've been a victim of that myself. I think I have an actual curse when it comes to getting an accent chair for my living room area. Every time I do it, I have it custom made by a fundi, and guess what? I always get the complete opposite of what I wanted. And I hate the seats, but I keep them because I spent money on them and it doesn't do anything for my living room. It does not look good. The proportion, everything is wrong. This is something that a lot of us, end up doing. Something does not fit, but we end up keeping it because we spent money on it. I'm gonna advise myself, just as I'm going to advise you guys, let's just get rid of these items that are not actually doing anything for the space. Sell it or keep it in another room, but for the living room area, always try to do your best. This is the space that literally welcomes all your visitors. This is a space that you want to be proud of. So yeah guys, let's avoid keeping items that we do not really like. Sometimes you might even want to go ahead and maybe see how we can accessorize the item, refurbish the item, and so on. But at the end of the day, if the design is wrong, you're just going to be spending more money trying to fix something that's already pretty much not working for the space. So instead of doing this, save up this money, get something different. It will be much better and your living room will look aesthetic and as what you actually envisioned in the beginning. So those are some of the most common mistakes we might be making when styling up our living rooms. I hope you guys got to learn something and will be able to fix these mistakes and make your living room look a lot more aesthetic and appealing. Anyway guys, thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe and share. I'll be truly grateful. Well guys, see you next week again with another video. Love you guys so much. Bye bye.